It's so amazing how people skillfully plan for their failure without even knowing. 99% shows, research rather shows that 99% of these people don't even know that they are planning for their failure. Now, how would you know that you've left the legendary lane? How do you know that you are not concentrating on the path of success, or on the path of progress, or on the path that can take you to where you can boldly tell generations about yourself, about the niche you've created? Now, that's what we are doing on Eco Profiles today. You're welcome, and I am Bella Khobe. Now, Eco Profiles is that show that tends to showcase business community, but not just only showcasing the business community. We also tell you, we also bring you back to the lane of vision, inspire you, cheer the spirit, that enthusiasm spirit in you, that real you that you wanted to become when you were a kid. Now, it's obvious every child had a dream, but things truncate those dreams. That is what we're to discuss today. And today's topic is personal failure plan. Personal failure plan. Yes, it exists. You do it unconsciously. People do it unconsciously. Now, how do people do it? How do they niche it? How do they carefully sketch their failure without knowing? That's what we'll discuss today with the guest. Stay connected. We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away. Entrepreneurship is an unbeatable strength in every economy. That is why Eco Profiles is designed to dissect different business lines. We don't just stop there. We bring you the tycoons that makes the business world, as well as we take a step further by dissecting Nigeria, Africa, and world economies. Join us on This Time on NCTV. I'm always glad to meet you each time we meet. And today, we're talking about personal failure plan. Personal failure plan. I have to say it over and over again so that it's registered for you to understand that sometimes you sketch it out without knowing. I have an expert with me in the studio, a distinguished guest, who will help us to dissect this. I know you want to meet the person. Meet Roselyn Adam Fije. I remember the first time you said, my first name is not Roselyn. My first name is Fije. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I got to know about Roselyn before the Fije. So you're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bella.
All right, tell us about you.
Well, like you said, I'm Fije Roselyn Adam. I'm an author and a social entrepreneur. I'm the CEO of FRA Foundation. It's a foundation that is into enterprise development and capacity building for the less privileged.
I like when people talk about the less privileged because sometimes you don't need to wear some shoe before you know what they feel. Yeah, I know experience might be some answers to some questions, but it's not to all questions.
You don't want to experience everything.
You don't want to experience everything. Especially, there are some things that people have experienced. You don't need to fall into the same pit. You just need to know about what they did that they used to come out or survive from that kind of pit. So tell us more about how you handle your business.
The business arm of the foundation is called the Value Center. And the Value Center, our core goal is to empower entrepreneurs to develop enterprise across Africa. Because over time, the government has come to realize that, just the government, everybody, I believe, has come to realize that government cannot answer every question.
Exactly.
Government is supposed to serve as a support for the business community. And then they answer questions.
So you're saying they are not supposed to be the sole or carrying much burden of...
No. It's an error to think that the economy of any people should be determined by government. And I give an example.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of Silicon Valley in California.
Yes.
Silicon Valley, okay, the economy, the GDP of California alone is it has the sixth largest GDP in the world when you're comparing nations. Okay, it has a higher GDP than France. It has a higher GDP than Britain. And California is a state, so we are comparing states with nations.
A nation.
Why? Because Silicon Valley is in California. Silicon Valley is the group, the conglomeration of IT companies,
Different
tech
IT,
companies, yes.
companies.
And of course, the history of Silicon Valley is tied to Stanford University. So what I'm saying is, it is not Washington that is the most happening place in America.
At all.
And it should not be in any country. Any nation, that any people that must succeed must empower and support the business community. That is why our focus is enterprise development. Because once enterprise thrives, everything will thrive.
Once enterprise thrives, everything will thrive. So you're trying to say now that we need to change our mentality concerning the fact that we expect the government to do some things for us, especially from this part of the world, Nigeria, where you tend to think the government should provide this for me, the government should provide that for me, or I'm a citizen of this nation, I do my part of the business or my part of the line. The government is supposed to do what for me. So you're saying that's an error?
Yes, and what I'm saying is, the focus of the government needs to change. With the government system
now,
we run right now,
okay,
it is only normal to expect the government to do everything. But if the government realizes, which I believe they're coming to realize now, that they cannot answer all questions.
So it's the government, is on the part of the government to realize and
they need to realign their focus to know that they are a support base. Everything should not run around them. It shouldn't start and end with them. Okay, if they empower the right people, then they don't have to do everything. But when the government is not aligned and focused, then it may think erroneously that it's our job to do everything, and then to continue failing and failing for a long time.
But when you talk about, based on what you just said now, you said when they empower the right people. Now, the government are representatives of the people. It comprises of representatives of people from different part of the country and all that. Now, these people are being chosen to take decisions on our behalf. And these same people get to look at this is the way it's supposed to be. They are supposed to look at their constituency and see people they can empower. So is it that this has been bridged along the line, or?
No, what the government needs to do is just make a conducive environment for businesses to thrive.
Okay.
Human beings naturally are skilled in thinking. The natural instinct of a man, which is one of the key things that differentiate men from animals, is to make things easier, to find solutions, to provide solutions. It's a natural instinct, and we have it surplus in Nigeria. Okay, but the goal of the government then is to say, how do I make the environment conducive for people to thrive and talk? Because anything, when a bank is not necessarily the only kind of business you think. Everything can be turned into a business. Business is about recognizing problems and finding solutions. So what I'm saying is,
that definition of your business.
Yes, the role of the government is to create a conducive environment for people to be able to establish their businesses. And I give an example. Okay. For us here, the number one thing is power. For Christ's sake, provide power. I don't want to be thinking of ideas and how to find solutions and then
solve a problem in the society.
I have to think of providing power. I have to think of, I don't know, I can't grade the road to my road. So at some point you have to. There are estates where you have to grade the road to have access.
Yes.
Okay, so the business people are limited, they are mitigated. Our creativity is severely mitigated by those mundane issues. And that is why it is so difficult for us to compete with China, Europe, because their basic questions are answered. Okay, if you're thinking of a full stomach, how do you think of producing anything? First of all, you must be satisfied.
Exactly, so for you to even think right.
So creativity is killed when basic needs of men are not met. That is why a nation like the United Kingdom provides so many amenities for its citizens. They're not doing that because they have so much. They just believe that for us to get the best out of our citizens, we must ensure that certain things are handled. They don't have to worry about that. But over here, I'm running a business, I have to think everything. I have to provide power, I have to provide water, I have to provide security, I have to provide everything. Okay, at what point do you get to be creative? How do I now compete?
When you're stressed, carrying all this load.
How do I, and this is a global world, how do I compete with Mr. Ching Chong in China when he knows that he's focused on his business? I mean, it's such a tiny world. The world is such a small place now that we are receiving Gary from India. Okay, everything is getting access into our country. So it's a competitive world. My only competition is not the businessman in Nnewi or Aba. No. India, China, everybody has access because it's such a small globe. So what can the government do? It can be overwhelming. But if they can prioritize the business community to say we must make these things conducive enough for businesses to thrive, then the local businesses will thrive, international businesses will come in, and then
the economy will be a better one for us. Well, I need to strengthen something there, which is you need to get up knowing that the government's going to do everything for you. Now, while you're thinking about all those things that you need to put in place, you're not alone. Rosalind just confirmed it. Okay, let me say Fiji now. Fiji just confirmed it. You're not alone. You're not alone in this. So we're fixing it together.